I gave up a lot of stuff, but you know, my main objective was to make the fight happen by any means. Even though, you know, my people wanted to, after a while, they wanted to walk away from the fight, 'cause, you know, out of just all that, you know, outrageous demands, and then when you meet his demands, then he moves the goalposts. Yeah, nah, he's nice as hell, but you know, I'm at the point of my career, the money right, I'll fight anybody, so I ain't tripping.
Errol Spence has taken aim at Terence Crawford, accusing him of ducking their rematch in favor of a blockbuster fight with Canelo Alvarez. Spence made the accusation through a subtle tweet on his X, formerly Twitter, account, claiming Crawford had broken their rematch agreement to pursue the high-profile bout instead. The news sent shockwaves through the boxing community, which had been buzzing with excitement over the potential Crawford versus Canelo clash scheduled for September. Many fans and analysts saw the fight as a much-needed spark to revive interest in a sport that's recently been criticized for lacking excitement and elite-level matchups. Unfortunately, Errol Spence Jr. had a different perspective in mind. In his tweet, he questioned why Terence Crawford didn't come after him for the rematch, as expected. Spence posted a clip from one of their past press conferences, where Crawford was seen taunting him and vowing to deliver a brutal beating. Spence added a sharp caption, saying, "You talk all that but disappear when it counts the most." The post hinted at Spence's frustration and reignited the tension between the two fighters.
You know, he said the Jose Benavidez fight was probably the toughest fight of his career. And I think you said back in the day you had your way with him in sparring. Is there anything to take away from that, or that you take away from it?
Nah, not at all. I mean, it was a good fight. He fought a one-legged Jose Benavidez, and it was the toughest fight of his career. That says a lot.
What does it say?
Interestingly, after their rematch was canceled last year, discussions reportedly resumed a few months later. Terence Crawford even appeared in several interviews where he expressed openness to facing Errol Spence again. At the time, a rematch with Spence seemed like a more realistic option than a potential bout with Canelo Alvarez. However, Crawford eventually changed course, a move that appears to have triggered Spence's ongoing social media tirades. Despite Spence's frustration, many boxing fans believe their first fight wasn't close enough to warrant a rematch. According to them, Spence's outbursts are less about unfinished business and more about chasing another massive payday.
And walking over my feet, you know, I want to get out the game. I got kids, got a mom and dad, and you know, they want to enjoy me. So, you know.
Some fans weren't holding back, brutally mocking Errol Spence Jr. and questioning his motives. "Errol just needs the money," one fan claimed. Why else would anyone willingly step back into the ring with a man who nearly ended his career? They pointed out that what was once billed as a 50-50 fight now looks more like a 90-10 mismatch, heavily favoring Crawford. Critics argued that after being thoroughly dominated in their first bout 2 years ago, it makes little sense for Spence to choose Crawford as his comeback opponent. The trolling got even harsher, with some fans suggesting that unless Spence is prepared for something worse than the car crash he survived years ago, he should think twice before stepping into the ring again, especially not just 2 months after returning to training. Fans continued to pile on Errol Spence Jr., with some brutally questioning his decision-making. "Bro's looking for another crash, this time from a punch," one user wrote. "Another cataract surgery? This isn't the way to commit suicide. Just get a tune-up fight first. You've still got it, no doubt, but Terence Crawford isn't the right experiment right now." Others pointed to recent examples, like Tim Tszyu. "Spence clearly didn't learn from Tszyu," another fan said. "The guy came out of a bloody war with Fundora, fought through 8 rounds with a head injury, and took his first loss. Instead of taking time off or easing back in, he jumped straight into another war, and it backfired. This is worse. If Spence dives straight into a rematch with Crawford, it won't just be a loss. Crawford might actually destroy him."
It was exciting, the whole build up to it, and leading up to it too, so it's something that, you know, I wouldn't change for nothing, and I'm definitely open to the rematch, and hopefully it'll be at 154 pounds.
I can retire right now and be in the Hall of Fame. He couldn't. You know, like everything that I've accomplished, he's still trying to accomplish. You know.
Do you not think Spence will be in the Hall of Fame?
Right now? No, how?
Yeah, he's right, dude. He's right.
How? You know, like he fought in one division. You know,
he never unified the belts.
He unified.
He did unify.
Another fan suggested that Errol Spence Jr. should consider parting ways with Premier Boxing Champions, PBC, arguing that the agency no longer serves top boxing talent the way it once did. No wonder all of Spence's proposed fights keep falling apart during contract negotiations, the fan remarked. Leave PBC, bro. It's not what it used to be. Link up with someone like Turki Alalshik. He'll get you the right fights. And whatever you do, stay away from Crawford. That beast will tear your head off. Another comment added a bit more perspective. I know Crawford mentioned this fight around the time he was facing Madrimov. Maybe he shouldn't have given Spence false hope. It might have been better to just ignore the idea altogether instead of stringing him along.
He unified.
Was it?
He had 3. Yeah, the
but
WBC,
he didn't unify all 4. He wasn't undisputed.
Huh?
He wasn't undisputed.
He wasn't. No, but what I'm saying is, they already called him a weight bully, right? He beat Kell Brook coming off of a loss, an eye injury. You know, he beat Sean Porter.
In all fairness, he had to go over there to get that.
While Terence Crawford never explicitly promised a rematch with Errol Spence Jr., he did make his priorities clear at the time. Crawford stated that his primary focus was on Israel Madrimov, whom he set to face on August 3rd at the Undersea Center in Los Angeles. When asked about the possibility of a rematch with Spence, Crawford didn't rule it out, but framed it as conditional. The possibility is there, he said. Spence is fighting Sebastian Fundora for his titles. And I'm fighting for a title too. If he wins his fight, God willing, and I win mine, God willing, then the possibility is there.
I mean, it could happen. I mean, why not? If Crawford wanna challenge himself to be great, let him try to be great, you know. So, you know what I'm saying, I'm with it. So, you know, I'll be going for Bud, you know, if he fight Canelo.
Given the rematch clause in their original contract, Terence Crawford acknowledged that there was still some unfinished business with Errol Spence Jr., and after Crawford's dominant performance in their first meeting, he would undoubtedly enter a rematch as the heavy favorite. The main question surrounding a potential Crawford-Spence rematch is whether Spence will look like a different fighter at 154 pounds. The weight cut clearly took a toll on both men, especially at this stage in their careers. But it was Spence who appeared more drained, both at the weigh-in and during the fight itself.
You know what I mean? That's a good win. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm hating on him or, you know,
I understand
things like that, but I honestly don't know if he make it to the Hall of Fame with the accolades that he didn't got.
Following Crawford's stoppage win over Spence last year under a deal with PBC, a contractual rematch was expected to take place. However, as months went by, no official arrangements were ever announced. According to reporter Mike Coppinger, Spence chose to undergo cataract surgery a few months after their bout, a decision that ultimately caused the rematch window to expire. With that clause no longer in play, Crawford became a free agent, unbound by any specific promoter or network. This gave him the flexibility to pursue any fight he wanted. He had been eyeing a showdown with Canelo Alvarez, but Canelo reportedly wasn't interested, viewing the potential matchup as offering little reward or upside for him.
I would never want to fight him coming off an accident like that, because when I beat him, then y'all gonna say it was because of the accident. He beat Danny Garcia. I was in the crowd. I said, nah, he can't beat me. That's the first time I seen Spence fight live. I said.
So you knew then when you seen that?
I'm like yeah, because you know it's different on TV than when you watching it up close in person.
Former unified welterweight champion Errol Spence Jr. currently finds himself in boxing limbo. Though he hasn't officially announced his retirement, there are no clear plans for a return either. After spending nearly 2 years out of the ring, fans are beginning to question whether the truth will ever step between the ropes again. Not long ago, Spence was considered one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, an undefeated champion with knockout power, technical brilliance, and mass appeal. Then came Terence Crawford. Leading up to their long-awaited showdown, Spence vs. Crawford was seen as a true 50-50 fight. The boxing world was divided. Two elite technicians, both unbeaten, both hungry. But once the opening bell rang in their welterweight title unification bout, the tide turned quickly. From that point on, it was all downhill for Spence.
I'll be going for him. I mean, I don't know if he's going to win or lose, but I definitely be going Crawford. I think if anybody can pull it off, he can pull it off. He's chasing greatness, so why not? Canelo came up to 175 and all that and fought Kovalev and fought the other guy too. So, I mean, if he can do it, and he started at, 147? So, I mean, if he's doing it, why can't Crawford do it?
Terence Crawford delivered a stunning beatdown to Errol Spence Jr. in their highly anticipated unification bout on Saturday night, becoming the first undisputed welterweight champion in nearly 40 years. With this dominant victory, Crawford cemented a strong claim as the world's best fighter, regardless of weight class. Crawford floored Spence once in the second round and twice more in the seventh, before referee Harvey Dock finally stepped in to stop the fight at 2:32 of the ninth round. The nearly 20,000-strong crowd at the T-Mobile Arena were so convinced that many would not have objected had the referee stopped the fight even earlier.
Have a fish fry come Saturday. Man, you gotta calm down, brother. Cause listen, man, things can get real sticky real quick, and then everybody would say, this is what we do every time we come out. This is what we do when we come out. Social media.
The matchup between two undefeated American stars, more than 5 years in the making, was billed as the best fight boxing could offer. However, after an evenly matched opening round, the bout quickly became a showcase for Terence Crawford's generational talent. The 35-year-old Nebraskan delivered an extraordinary display of power, precision, and ring generalship that made an elite opponent look like a novice. Crawford, a former champion at 135 and 140 pounds, entered Saturday's eagerly awaited showdown as a slight favorite. With his victory, he became the first fighter since 1986 to hold all the recognized world titles at welterweight, a feat last achieved by Lloyd Honeyghan, who captured the WBA, WBC, and IBF belts by upsetting Donald Curry at Caesars Atlantic City, in one of British boxing's greatest upsets.
Got the confidence to come out there and just be like, okay, well, even the skills to say, all right, let me see how you gonna take a punch to the chin. Let me see how you gonna take a punch to the body. Let me see how you gonna react when you can't bully somebody around.
Good, I just fed the dog.
Okay, so my mind was, you know what I mean, you know, it was racing a little bit. And I was like, man, how should I come out? And it was like, man, just come out boxing.
Clearly asserting himself as the superior fighter, Crawford dominated Spence in a one-sided beating until the fight was mercifully stopped in the ninth round. Following the victory, Crawford reigned as the undisputed welterweight champion for a brief period before moving up to junior middleweight. Currently, it appears Crawford is gearing up for a rare but highly anticipated super fight against the one and only Canelo Alvarez. Meanwhile, the affable Texan Errol Spence Jr. has not stepped back into the ring since his devastating loss to Crawford in 2023. It's been a long wait, and the question on everyone's mind is no longer when Spence will return, but if he will return at all.
Listen, just like you talking, just like you doing all that talking, bro, it can turn deadly real quick, but on both sides. So why not support, listen, why not support your fighter, you ain't.
It's been almost 2 years since Errol Spence Jr. last fought. At 35 years old, he's not exactly old by today's boxing standards, but he's no spring chicken either. Still, a return to the ring would undoubtedly draw significant attention and a lucrative payday for Spence. There are some big-name opponents who could be on his radar, such as Keith Thurman and Tim Tszyu. However, to face these fighters, Spence will first need to officially announce his comeback. It's also likely he would take a tune-up fight to ease back into competition, a wise move given his long layoff. That said, if Spence ultimately decides to retire, he shouldn't face criticism for that choice. It's a personal decision, and one that deserves respect.
Along my career, I've been criticized and people have taken credit away from me just to try to diminish my accomplishments just off of pure hate. So what would they be able to say with me going up 2 weight classes
People say, oh, well, maybe it was the weight or whatever the case is. What do you think about that? Like, talking about the weight at 154?
Well, I wasn't worried about that. I felt stronger than him. You know, I felt that I punched harder than him. I felt as if I hurt him many of times in the fight.
Boxing is a tough and dangerous sport, and Errol Spence Jr. has certainly felt its harshest realities. He took a brutal beating at the hands of Terence Crawford, and battles against fighters like Kell Brook likely added to the wear and tear. On top of that, Spence survived a major accident that nearly cost him his life. All things considered, Spence has had a challenging, yet successful, journey in the sport. Despite everything, he is still a fighter at heart, and fighters fight. If he's physically able to return, it would be great to see him back in the ring once again.
Yeah. But I just felt like, you know, he came prepared and he was ready and he fought a good fight.
Yeah.
He was awkward, he was patient, he was determined, he stuck to his game plan, and he did what he had to do to make it to the last battle.
Errol Spence recently opened up on social media, admitting that the worst thing he ever did as an athlete was drinking. His candid post resonated with many, including Gervonta Davis, who is set to fight Lamont Roach tonight. Davis responded, saying, "The worst thing I did to myself was drinking. If you're an athlete, focus on the end goal. Hopefully, it's a better situation for you and your loved ones." Apart from his defeat against Crawford, Spence has had a stellar career. However, his last performance sparked increased criticism, with some fans suggesting that he no longer has what it takes. This criticism prompted a fiery response from Spence on X, formerly Twitter, where he wrote, "Some of y'all throw around washed way too loosely. You all should check with your mama to see what washed really means."
People say, oh, well, he's money hungry, he's looking at money and he's trying to cash out and this and that. I've been getting money for years. I've been getting millions for years.
Yeah.
And I'm not stupid with my money.
Right.
As you can see, I don't buy no Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and, you know what I mean, walk around with 100 people around me and got all this jewelry that I bought. Like, I don't do all that.
Errol Spence Jr. was the unified welterweight champion before his loss to Terence Crawford, holding the WBA, WBC, and IBF titles from 2017 to 2023. Although Spence hasn't fought in nearly 2 years, he's still only 34, and fans are eagerly awaiting a potential return against a big-name opponent. Meanwhile, two-weight undisputed champion Terence Crawford has stirred some controversy with recent comments about his former rival, Spence. The two faced off in 2023, where Crawford delivered a dominant, one-sided performance over The Truth. Since then, Spence has yet to make a comeback. Interestingly, Spence had the option to invoke a rematch clause, but ultimately decided not to pursue it.
He got caught. He should have boxed a little bit more, but things happen. You gotta learn from it.
More recently, Spence was in negotiations for a fight against WBC and WBO super welterweight champion Sebastian Fundora, but after several delays, the bout never materialized. This fueled speculation that Spence might never return to the ring. Meanwhile, Crawford has soared to new heights. The Nebraskan is now scheduled to face Canelo Alvarez in September, in what promises to be a blockbuster matchup. "I could retire right now and be in the Hall of Fame," Crawford said during a recent podcast. "But like everything I've accomplished, I'm still striving for more."
Traps, has crazy power that he believes in. He has a great chin too because he's a guy, he'll let you get out punches.
Elaborating on his point, Crawford said, "He fought in one division and unified 3 belts. They already called him a weight bully, right? He beat Kell Brook coming off a loss and an eye injury." While Crawford acknowledged Spence's win over Sean Porter, he felt it wasn't quite enough. "That's a good win. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on him or anything, but honestly, I don't know if he'll make it to the Hall of Fame with the accolades he has right now." Though there's some substance to Crawford's view, many fans and experts have disagreed. Renowned boxing trainer Kevin Cunningham responded to Crawford's comments, writing, "In my opinion, Errol Spence Jr. has done enough to eventually get into the Hall of Fame."
Hold his head up, it's a learning experience. He just bounced back from it. It's about how you come back and how you show people that, that having young in your career and some of you
While Terence Crawford's popularity has surged since his win over Errol Spence Jr., his resume is already one of the most decorated in boxing. He has won titles in 4 weight classes and holds the undisputed title in 2 different divisions. Throughout his career, many doubted his ability to defeat top opponents at various stages, but Crawford has consistently proven his critics wrong. However, Erickson Lubin remains unconvinced that Crawford has truly faced the toughest competition. No disrespect, but I don't think Crawford really fought anyone either, Lubin wrote in response to Crawford's comments about Spence's Hall of Fame chances. Moving up weight classes and stopping 11 by 12, that's what we should credit him for. That said, Crawford has found himself at the center of controversy once again. That's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and happenings in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss quality content like this.